As the approval of the minutes, there's only one other.
Yeah.
You
Do you
make
have
a
any
motion to
questions?
approve?
No.
No?
Oh, well, wait, hold on. I thought you said I had a question. Am I seconding myself?
I'll second.
I move that we.
Hi, Christy. So, seconded.
Good afternoon.
Hi. Welcome. So, Christy, have you met, you recognize the former Secretary of State, John Thurston? He was now our treasurer. And we're joined by some of his staff here. And so if you, Christy, want to let them know what you do.
Sure, I'm Christy Hayes. I work for the Department of Human Services. I work in Office of Information and Technology. I am the Arkansas Medicaid Enterprise Project Manager and Business Analyst.
We didn't introduce you on the last week meeting, but this is my colleague, Johnny Saldana.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Christy.
He has been a humongous asset to me since I started working on this plan. He also puts together all the reporting for 529 and ABLE, and he's taken on a really active role with DCFS in Arkansas, which manages a lot of ABLE accounts for children in foster care. So Johnny's always here in case there are questions I can't answer. Usually Johnny can. So.
Hi, I'm John Saldana, Client Relations Administrator. Hi, Fran. Hi, Chris. And
Hey.
welcome aboard, sir. Pleasure to meet you.
Yes, sir, you too.
Any type of any information, data you need, filter through Chris or send an email directly. Fran and Chris work very well with me and Kimberly on all types of data for all the plans.
Mhm.
All right.
Thanks, Johnny.
Great.
All right, let's see here. Fran, we've
So,
got some.
Yeah, so I need, with the election of Treasurer Thurston, obviously, we now need to take care of the business of removing Larry as authorized signatory and adding Treasurer Thurston. So I just need a motion to do that.
I make a motion.
Second.
All right. Thank you.
Were signatures on that as well, or no?
Yes.
Yeah, so do we need to redo ours, or?
You may be prompted with an email from,
Okay.
I believe it's First Security, which is where our admin account for ABLE is. I believe they do it electronically now.
Yeah, I seem to recall that process, so, yeah, stand by when we on it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And then, just want me to go
Yeah,
on
go
with
right into
the
the
director's report. So, Chris and I've had, I think our last meeting was in October, so I'm not going to take you through, I know, it seems like yesterday. But a couple of the high points of some of our outreach, we met with two of the directors of what's now called the Achieve Community Alliance, UCP, is what it used to be known as. And we met with them in November, and then they in turn, and this is how we're kind of connecting with people, is we'll meet with a few people and then they're like, oh, we want you to present, to our broader group at a meeting, coming up. So as a result of that meeting, we then met in January virtually with some of the division leaders from around the state and made a presentation to them. And then we also presented to the folks with Project Search at the Access Schools. That was fantastic. We presented to the directors and the statewide leaders in November, December, and January. And it was at that January meeting where we met with some of the Project Search leaders in other parts of the state. And the woman in Jonesboro has invited us to present virtually to the families that she works with at a meeting
Would
in
you send
April.
those dates whenever you get a chance?
Yeah, and it's virtual. It will be at night during like one of their meetings. But yeah, it's a parents group. It's in April I have it written down. And then DHS, the Public Guardian Office, that's the division that provides legal guardianship to people over 18 and older. And we've had quite a few meetings with that leader, and I'll let you kind of speak a little bit to what we're setting up
Yeah.
with them.
So, and Kim, stop me if I'm stating the facts incorrectly anywhere at any point, but basically based off our longstanding relationship with DCFS, where they identify eligible owners within their population of foster care, they put a bug in Public Guardian's ear about the ABLE accounts as well. And so we've started that kind of conversation with them. We've informed Public Guardian, as them acting as a Social Security rep payee, but also an entity, that onboarding process is going to be a lot smoother and much more ironed out now than in 2018 when, the day we launched, we got 20, 30 enrollments from DCFS right off the bat. And it'll be a really good point to test out one of our new forms that's going live soon, the authorized individual change form. Because in this case, potentially we're looking at eligible individual in DCFS transitioning into Public Guardian care. We can test out that process pretty seamlessly. And as far as the status on it, the census sent them, the paperwork that we would need from them to get them going as an entity. And I believe we're just waiting on their response.
Yeah, just waiting on them. So instead of having to fill out an enrollment form for each and every person who they're establishing an account for, we have a letter of intent that encompasses all of the certifications and authorizations that are in that enrollment form, and a spreadsheet where we can fill in all of the data that would conform, so all the entity data for the Office of the Public Guardian, get all of the account owner's information, how much money should be going into each account, and then whether by wire or check, they can fund it with one large deposit, and we'll break it up amongst the accounts. We can do that with future deposits for them as well, which will make it a lot smoother.
Yeah, because right now, the way they have to do it is if you oversee or you're a guardian of like 12 people, you would have to go in and, log in and log out to each account. But much like an advisor can, type in and see all the accounts that he or she has, it would be a similar process. So we're excited to be able to promote that entity enrollment to our entities.
Yeah, I'm excited for the dashboard as well.
Right. So that is going well. And then the last one, and for those of you that were in the 529 meeting earlier, I mentioned ArcBest, and we had been doing some presenting to the folks up in Fort Smith, and ArcBest, and we went there specifically to talk about 529, but as a result of that, which we find happens quite a bit when we were talking about the ABLE plan, that really got a lot of employees' attention because ArcBest has I don't want to call it a support group, but they have a special group that is made up of either employees with disabilities or employees who have children or loved ones with disabilities. And they meet on a regular basis and they share resources with each other. So we presented to the people who head up that group, and they in turn asked us to present to a bigger group, and now they want us to present to the ABLE plan to the groups around the nation. So wherever they do business, it's like a meeting. So again, it's virtual, but it's just, I love the connectivity. And I think that's how we're growing this is word of mouth and people going, oh, okay, now I understand, and kind of getting their stamp of approval and then them encouraging us to talk with others. So we're very, very lucky. Do you want to talk about legislation now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So again, on the federal side, last year, the ABLE bills that we tried to introduce to, make few provisions of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Permanent, those three provisions were the 529 to able rollover, savers credit eligibility, and the able to work provision. And for those new in the room, the able to work provision that allows employee to able account owners to contribute past the $19,000 a year annual contribution limit if they're employed. And so that bill, unfortunately, last year just kind of died off. New one is called the Enable Act for the 119th Congress. It's got good, strong bipartisan support right now. And last week, Treasurer Thurston, Kenneth, and Michael, he's not here in this meeting. They were up in DC speaking on behalf of the bill to some of our federal delegations. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, unless.
Provide any more.
Yeah, so we actually visited with, Representative Rich Hill about the bill. Very receptive, to it and, kind of gave him a little bit of background on it. So he sounded very supportive. I also visited with Representative Bruce Westerman, who was also supportive of the bill. And we also, I think, mentioned it. We had a meeting over at the White House with the Trump administration, and they seemed to put it on the radar as well. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you.
And then on the state side, we're tracking House Bill 1063, sponsored by Representative Mayberry. She's always done a lot of good work with our ABLE legislation on the state side.
And Ray, he's co-sponsor.
Yes,
Yeah.
and Ray signed on recently.
Thank you.
So that change is just adopting the age of onset from the Able Age Adjustment Act that got changed on the federal side right around a year ago now. So again, effective 2026, the age of onset for the disability is bumping from age 26 to 46. So it's definitely going to open up the doors to a lot of people. And yeah, really. That's all I have.
What's the biggest hurdle from, keeping this from growing faster or whatever? I mean,
In my
the program, yeah, what do you think? I mean,
in my opinion, it's trust.
well,
Yeah.
and I was just about to
Yeah.
Yeah,
to
you
ping
could
you
probably
on that,
answer that.
because what you're doing is building
With the
the disability community really is tight knit. And even within that community, you have, I don't call them special interests, but the blind and impaired visually have their own niche in this. There's a bill currently posted soon to merge our agency, which is the General Vocational Rehabilitation Agency, and the Division of Services for the Blind, specifically serve the blind community.
Hmm.
So you're gonna see some
Pushback. And
tension and
yeah.
pushback. Tried doing 2019, it died. This one has the governor, I can say that now, governor's support. So we're doing it. It's just, need to do it in the most positive way.
Mhm.
But it's all back to that trust, and that's what you're doing. The years that ABLE has been around, y'all have been the faces they've seen for the most part, and I think that's important, especially with my staff as well. So whatever y'all are doing to build trust, and that, because for the work part of this, that's what we hear the most is the barriers of they don't want to impact their benefits, and they want to be able to save, and so we have to kind of get them over that hurdle. Is that there's a threshold, a cross point where you're now making more. You don't need those benefits anymore. You can live and pay yourself, and sometimes it's the guardians or parents that are fearful of losing that check, that benefit check. So we try to address all those different things, and y'all being present to at least talk about the ABLE Act is very helpful.
And it's not just about the income either. The existing resource limit,
Yeah.
for a lot of these families, they can't have more than $2,000 to their name
Yeah, that's
without putting their benefits in jeopory.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden you're telling them, well, with this, you can't, you can have $3,000.
And they still don't want to trust you. Yes.
$600.
it's such a change from
Yeah.
what they've been used to.
Well, and that's why our strategy has been, let's let's start with, you know, whoever's open to hearing.
Mhm.
Going from that entity level is a great
And
idea.
then just kind of, you know, filtering. So I'm so excited, like, for that project search meeting in Jonesboro, because, you know, she's bringing, and you've presented, yeah, you're going to Pine Bluff tomorrow, and there was the group, another group in Jonesboro that you,
No, that was Easter Seal in Northwest Arkansas in Bentonville.
okay, that's right. So, but thank you for, that's, and we love it. We love doing that. I think, is that it?
Did you want to talk about social media at all?
Oh, yes, sorry.
So you guys may remember at the last meeting, we informed you all that we did launched a Able Facebook page for the plan. So every month I go in there and I try to, you know, generate some new content ideas, but also kind of keep the message consistent throughout. So since we launched shortly before the previous meeting, the Able Facebook page has accumulated 2,000 content views with a total reach over 1,200. We've gotten 143 different post reactions, 6 link clicks, and 51 followers.
Say that 3 more times?
Yeah.
And again, we're not using any funds, you know, we're not boosting any of the posts, so that's all speaking organically. You know,
And we have our partners, you know, who
Yeah.
share it.
absolutely.
And like you did one last week, the traumatic brain injury folks.
Yeah, and so, you know, for, you know, more timely and appropriate reasons, you know, this month is National Brain Injury Awareness Month. And having presented to the Arkansas Brain Injury Council, we just reach out to them and say, hey, is it okay if we tag you guys in this post acknowledging all the hard work that you guys put into the community? And I'll say, sure.
Yeah.
And publish
Well,
it.
and that's a really good contact, just to deviate a little bit. When Representative Mayberry presented the Able Age Adjustment Act, Chris had met this young woman at a meeting, Constance. I'm trying to think where you met her.
It was during the presentation of the Brain Injury Council.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's right.
She had missed the age of onset requirement by a week and change.
Yeah.
It was less than a month. And so she was having, she was really frustrated, you know, with the fact that there's this tool out there, but she's within reach of it, but couldn't quite grasp at it because of eligibility requirements. But she, of course, you know, had a traumatic brain injury council. She testified on behalf of the bill, spoke for it, just kind of going into just because of these few weeks difference, you know, she's been having to deal with the Medicaid. She's been having to do the benefits game, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
And she,
Those pieces to the puzzle.
so she, you know, that's another great story as far, in terms of somebody who, once this passes, will benefit.
That's all I had on social media.
Okay.
Thank you. Kimberly.
Thank you. Just a couple bit more things to speak to your question of, you know, some things that impact the growth of Able. You know, I think people tend to equate them to 529s because they're all kind of under a staffing umbrella more often than not, and legislatively, so they're both under 529, but you can only have one Able plan. And while with 529, if you're so lucky, everyone in your life could contribute $19,000 to that account. You could have multiple 529 accounts. With Able, 19,000 is the max unless you work. And you'll see on my second slide that for some people, these are very transactional accounts. So for some, it's a way for families to put away that full maximum amount every year to be able to protect their child as an adult when they're not around anymore. But for others, they're just going a little over that $2,000 and they don't want to have to spend that money, you know, on nothing in order to stay at that $2,000 capacity. So these are growing a little more incrementally, I think, than other accounts might. And because of that transactional nature, You know, they may never grow to quite that same level, but they are growing consistently. The end of 2024, Arkansas had almost $7,278,000. And once again, you can see from the graphs that they're consistently trending upwards. So little by little, we're reaching those groups that are helping us to be that trusted resource for those with disabilities. And I think we're going to notice as we get more entities on board. You know, for instance, I think, what does DCFS have, about 400 accounts?
Yeah, somewhere between 3 and 4.
They tend to be sticky if people are staying within the system, because the purpose of putting the money here is because you're supposed to be saving it for their future, as opposed to spending it for their current needs. So once the Office of the Public Guardian is on there as well, and we bring more entities into the system, they're managing multiple accounts for people, and we're going to see that growth. If you go to the next slide, you can see that this is a pretty simple investment mix. We go from aggressive down to checking, which is an FDIC insured product. We just added the money market in December. So you can see that that so far only has a couple funded positions, but Office of the Public Guardian, I think, is planning on using that as their investment type. And I wouldn't be surprised to see DCFS move over, because their job is to simply safeguard to the best of their ability and go into the most conservative fund that we have, and they can't do checking. So entities can't manage a checking account.
So that kind of protects them from that in a
Mhm.
way. Yeah.
But as you can see, the conservative option and the checking option are the most contributed to by your account holders. You can also see by positions funded that you can have more than one investment option that you choose. Some people may choose all 8. I don't know that I'd recommend that, but yes, that's your choice, in any percentage that they'd like. So, you know, if you have someone who's a little savvy, you might start very aggressive and slowly do exactly what our target date funds do for our 529s and make them a little less aggressive over time.
Well, and those numbers also reiterate what you were saying about the transactional with the checking account
Right.
option, that people are using it for medicine or rent or transportation.
Yes, yep, they're using it so that they don't have to spend it in a certain amount of time, but they are using it to just better their everyday lives. Contributions by month. You can see in December, it was $290,718. Just like 529s, you do sometimes see more around December and January. Sometimes people make sure they get to that full 19,000 by the end of the year. Sometimes they start January off funding the maximum amounts if that's what your family can do.
Did we ever figure out what happened in April of this year? Is that why we jumped up so
It's
high?
not far from February. So I'm not sure what happened in those 2 months that made them stand out so much, and I almost wonder if it was taxes.
Like people getting
People getting
money
refunds.
back and putting it in.
Because when you're getting money back, you file early. Going into the contributions by type, you can see that most people have a EBT contribution, which is just a regular contribution from an account going in. But other high ones are checking contributions and contributions through a regularly recurring contribution plan. So most people are just having it go from an account at their regular bank into their ABLE account. That might be the account of the account owner themselves, or the authorized individual who's maintaining the account for them, maybe a parent. But that's the most consistent way people are contributing, is through a bank account outside of the account. With distributions, we saw about 141,000 in December. Distributions are going to be pretty consistent. Like I said, people do have a checking account option here, so in many instances, they're just using this money for their daily needs, monthly needs. when we go into our distributions by type, the largest that we're seeing is a withdrawal at the bank. So that includes debit card withdrawals, checks written. And a lot of people who use the Able account checking option do get a debit card on the account. So they're able to go to an ATM and take money or go and just purchase. The one good thing about these accounts with a checking account is that there's no overdraft fees. You actually, except for very few circumstances, cannot overdraft this account.
So just to clarify for everybody, the withdrawal, that includes, transactions at Walmart.
Right, yeah,
Maybe
debit card
it's
transactions.
debited direct.
I had no idea why, and I think we brought it up before, we break this up into so many buckets.
It must have been asked at one time. I don't know.
It does make it look as if 30 to 40 is much higher than the rest, but if you actually take a look, it's not that different than what people are spending in their 20s. And actually, it's under 20 that seems to be the highest
Why don't-
distributions by age group.
What would you want to
think we
come back and
definitely can.
suggest? I mean, are there other reports where you break it differently or?
Well, I mean, we don't break it down for Able any differently. I guess I just think that we could probably do under 18. And then maybe just do it by decades. I don't know that I see a reason to
Yeah.
break it up the way we are.
18 and under, and then 20s, 30s.
Or maybe even up to like the 40s, like 20s to 40s in a way. And then anything higher than 446.
Right, like people who just fall into that, let's go with
Mhm,
middle age group
mhm,
of people. Yeah, I'll take a look at John, with Johnny. Like I said, I think we're creating a false picture when we show the 20s in small little
Mhm,
increments.
mhm.
But no matter what age group we're in, people are using this money.
Mhm.
And I think in many cases, when you're caring for a child, probably quite a bit of money, that's the reason quite a bit of money is being spent in that under 18 age group.
Mhm.
We are consistently growing these accounts. Right now, there's 1,079 funded accounts within the plan. So based on earlier, I mentioned we have over $7 million. These accounts have about $6,000 on average, which I think, considering they are transactional, is pretty good.
Right.
And as I said, I think you're going to see some more stickiness as we get more CTPs on board. This is the custodian type, so there's multiple ways in which you can open an account. One is you have the ability to maintain your own funds, and you open the account as a self-owner. The other is under a parent or guardian type relationship, where for a child, either a parent or a guardian is maintaining those funds on behalf of that child. And then you have an authorized individual for an adult that doesn't have the capacity to maintain the account on their own. Even though the adult is a little higher, I don't think it really stands out, and I think it's great to see, and really tells you how many different disability types there can be, that a third of our account holders are maintaining their own accounts. The next page is who that authorized individual will be. You notice we do have a lot of none. It was a couple of years ago that we started actually breaking it down by hierarchy type, and before that, we didn't collect this information on which the description of who the authorized individual is. Mostly it's representative payees, parent and legal guardian come up next. One thing that was discussed recently, and I think Chris sent it to me, was the idea of having a child as an option. I think that would have to be federal legislation. We've had a lot of back and forth amongst people who
Like
also,
an adult child.
an adult child,
Yeah.
because we're raising it to age 46 for the age of onset.
Oh,
So we
yeah.
might end up with a
Yeah.
lot more account owners who have children.
Mhm.
So a child is something that we would be able to do, but I think because it's not in the legislation hierarchy type, that would have to be the change that gets made.
Or even if it's just a standalone question on the enrollment form, that may be something worth capturing.
If they're a
So,
child.
Yeah, even if child isn't added to the hierarchy that the IRS put out, we can still ask that question.
'Cause they might
during
be a
the
guardian.
enrollment process because it may help CSR
Mhm.
kind of navigate some of those questions and learning curves that are going to come with this change.
Right.
Another question.
Sure.
Is none a reporting issue or is it just an optional?
No, that's what I was saying before.
Maybe I missed
I
that.
think it was about 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, the IRS didn't mandate the hierarchy until.
Okay. there you
Yeah.
go. Okay.
So we didn't used to collect it. And so we have a large pool where it's
That you don't
not
know.
collected. But I think we have been collecting it for enough years now that the 3 that stand out are consistently the 3 that stand out.
All right.
Yeah. We also have to collect the disability type, when people are opening their accounts. Developmental disorders, including autism and intellectual disabilities, are the highest as far as, who's saving money in these accounts for both number and assets saved. And then we have the account by eligibility description type, and that's just saying, whether or not you are eligible for Social Security. Your eligibility was established by a disability certification. You can get SSI as opposed to SSDI, or you have a physical or mental disability that causes severe functional limitations. This isn't anything that this isn't data that we particularly use at this moment, not that we couldn't at any point. But it is something that we are supposed to collect. And then as far as account closures, you can see in October, there was a bit of a spike here. We changed in Able. It used to be that your quarterly fee, so we charge quarterly fees on these accounts. If there wasn't enough in the account for the full fee, the fee simply wouldn't be charged and the account would sit there at a balance of lower than, in most cases, $14. It was decided among the alliance that we should fee these accounts to 0 and make it so that at some point it will close. A large part of the reason for that is because you can only have one Able account. So if you left some sort of balance inadvertently and you opened a new account, technically that account wouldn't be protected by the IRS. So by feeing these to 0, within 90 days, they would close if no one put money back in them. We don't have a bunch of forgotten accounts.
And we sent information, we sent letters, you know.
Send
so
letters,
people
we
had-
send letters currently. If your account has been at a 0 balance for 60 days and we send a letter to let everybody know that it's been at a 60-day 0 balance, and at 90 days, the account will close. At 90 days, the account does automatically close. But that's why October was the first time
That you did that.
that we did that.
What happens with those funds?
Oh, it's very low balance accounts, it's fees. So the fees actually go to the census and the state.
Okay, so it's paid off.
And like I said, it's
Okay.
most who are feeing to 0 probably don't have the online banking, so it's $14 a quarter.
Gotcha.
And that, like I said, that's why you're seeing that full first as one of the largest, because it only had less than $14 at the time.
Okay.
And then we have just how people heard about the plans. It's something you can check off when you're opening the plan. You can see organizations is really growing. I do wish that we had a breakdown of our other category, that you could put in something that wasn't there before. I think another thing we're seeing more of is search engine, and I almost wonder if that has anything to do with the social media, Chris. And then pretty consistently, even since 2019, family or friends has been a large trusted party.
I was just about to say, you can really see by looking at some of the higher numbers on there on the 2024 year to date. These are all, you know, I heard about this plan, but trust but verify, right? Family, friends, you know, that's a trusted source of information, organization. Who knows what other is.
One
It could be popular.
Yeah. One other thing to keep in mind as far as the Alliance goes, and one great part of being part of the Alliance is, just as a for instance, in October, fees went down for all states within the alliance because they reached as a group 45,000 funded accounts. So the reason the alliance formed, and I was actually part of the team when it was first formed because I worked for the state of Rhode Island, is so that smaller states could see more of a return for their residents who require able accounts. And I think on that note, the alliance works really well. It allows for just some economies of scale for the 19
Smaller.
states involved because a few have a little bit of money to put towards it.
Thank God for Illinois
I was going to say Pennsylvania.
and Pennsylvania, yeah.
Any questions? Any questions on ABLE in general? I know some of you, it's one of those plans that until you learn about it, you do nothing. So, please feel free to ask any questions if they come up in the future.
Well, that's what I was just even gonna remind them what the alliance was, that, you know, Arkansas is one of 19 states. And, so it's through that relationship that we, you know, like she said, are able to take advantage of not only the fees and the investment that come with that group, but also just the sharing of ideas. I mean, we meet probably every Thursday. We have at least 2 or 3 meetings with alliance members and on, you know, virtual meetings. So it's really nice to be able to have other states that we can bounce things off of and share resources.
I mean, a lot of these state able plans, you know, they're launching with little to no appropriation, depending on their state legislation. You know, Arkansas is fortunate enough. We have a part of the line item in the state treasurer's office budget. But, you know, we were discussing last week, you know, there could be a state that, you know, isn't collecting any state administration fees at all.
Yeah.
So,
And your population's small. So even with that, there's only so
Yeah.
large you're planning to be able to get on your own.
yeah, we reduce our fee for state residents.
Right. You waive that fee.
Thank you.
New business. Was that it?
The only thing for new business is just, we are talking about, and this is primarily you and Christy, obviously, that it would impact. But the conversation is moving our ABLE meetings to the morning. And what we're trying to accomplish is having 529 and ABLE back to back.
Okay,
So this morning, we were looking at, for the next meeting, which would be this summer, the week of June 16th.
Right.
Or the week of June 23rd. That Tuesday, so that would actually be the 17th or the 24th, at about 10:30. So I don't know if you have standing meetings or you know of something on Tuesdays where that is automatically not an option.
well, I have my, senior managers meeting every other Tuesday, so I just, you know, keep conflict somehow.
Would you have a designee that you could send?
Oh, yeah,
Well, you said it's every other week too. Do you know if you're available?
Oh, yeah, that's
Tuesday or
true.
23rd?
yeah, that's what I'm about to go look
Okay,
at it right
okay.
now, just to see if it landed on top
Yeah,
of
every
that.
other week, not every week.
Right,
Okay.
every other week, so,
What about Christy? Anything jump out at you that would,
she said June
yeah, June 17th or June 24th?
17th is clear, 24th.
The 17th and 24th, did you say 10:30?
Yes. So
Right
I'm
now, that
thinking
is free.
the 17th seemed to be the date that worked this
The
morning
last
for
meeting
more
is
people.
on the 17th
works
was the
for me.
one.
Okay, well, if you don't mind doing a hold, and then we'll, of course,
Yeah.
send you a confirmation, but,
Absolutely.
but that would be great. And thank you. I think, you know, hopefully that will help your days a little bit. I
Yeah.
don't know, maybe not.
Yeah, I was scrambling down, broke up those Arkansas today to look at the 4th Street, Job Corps program, so that was 2 hours up, 2 hours back.
Oh, my gosh.
I got an hour tour, so yeah, my days get kind of a little crazy sometimes
Oh, goodness.
towards the end of it, so I'd rather do more.
Well, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, anybody have any other questions?
So I
or-
got a couple announcements. This is my usual pitch to get y'all to come to my events or our events. October is National Disability Employment Awareness Month, just so we met last time. Like y'all to have a table if you would. You're hitting the right, community.
Is it
We see that.
at the Capitol again?
Yeah, so the Capitol Rotunda, we'll read the governor's proclamation for that month. And we'll have speakers. Pride Industries showed up last October. And they're really trying to get more involved on a national level. I think hearing y'all's presentation, or y'all been available, may help them as well. You know, Abel's not just here.
Now, who do I need to coordinate that with? Because I know some of your.
John Taylor was our guy. We're gonna pull him back a little bit and have Chip McAfee, he's our communications director, lead the organizing of that. So maybe what I'll do is put you on his radar.
Yeah.
So that he can get you on the email chain.
Has the date been set?
No, and see, that's the other thing I'm about to talk about, the November partners meeting. We were moving the dates around because we have a national meeting on that same time period. But the second event, so I'll get you hooked up with him. The second event is the WIOA Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act Partners Meeting. So it's adult ed, it's unemployment insurance to an extent. It's people without disabilities, employment programs, all those partners together. Really, Division of Workforce Services, now Division of Workforce Connections, when we do get the laws changed. But anyway, that the whole group of partners that all are about employment are going to have a partners meeting. Y'all came to one of them. It was Hot Springs and had the table there at one time. So we'll have a lot of other vendors talking about disability related stuff there. You know, people that do vehicle modifications.
Mhm.
Y'all will be there. Our the local field officer will be there. The partners and a lot of the parents and whatever will show up at that too. So
So will it be the same gentleman, Chris, or what was the name?
Chip McAfee.
Would he be the same contact?
Yes, he'll help you out with both of those programs.
We all partners meeting.
In November. We're moving the dates because it conflicts with one of our national vocational rehabilitation meetings. So I think it's going to be that third week in November, but I need to confirm. So I'm giving myself plenty of time so I don't short run with you.
Thanksgiving.
Well, yeah, we'll move away from, we won't be on that. I know that one.
They're promoting the age 46 onset.
Well, and also depending on how things are looking on the political climate in November, and there's also a 529 bill in DC that we're following closely.
Okay.
The Freedom to Invest in Tomorrow's Workforce Act. And it's going to allow 529 funds to be used for credentials and licenses
Sure.
value. So
Oh, that would dovetail.
Mhm.
depending on the timing of it all, if we could be there in dual capacity,
Yeah.
that is 529 and
And
A.
I don't mind.
Because, I mean, you know, if that passes, you know, it's really going to take the college savings plan into a career.
Yeah.
And savings plan.
Absolutely. Whatever we can help with, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Sounds good.
All
All right.
Okay. We are,
All in motion?
we were good.
All in favor?
All in motion.
Second, let's second.
I'll second motion.
All right. Thank you all. We adjourn.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Johnny.
Bye.
Thank you, Chris.
Bye.
It makes it easy with just 3 members.